Lads, today we have to talk about this absolute nonsense because two reasons. One, the referees, how did they manage to screw up this badly with this? And two, we have seen this cause think pieces in the past with other players, so we're having the exact same conversation, but we're going from it from a different perspective. It is so dumb. It's so dumb that I have to talk about this, but it was also dumb last year when Caitlin Clark would flail, not realize what she was doing, hit someone in the face, get rightfully called for a technical foul, and then suddenly there's think pieces saying that she's calling her a dirty player and everything.
The moment that sent shockwaves through the WNBA happened faster than most people could process. Paige Bueckers drives to the basket, scores the layup, turns around while still jawing at the referee about a previous call, and walks straight through Kelsey Plum like she's invisible. Plum hits the floor hard, sprawling across the court, while Bueckers casually jogs back on defense, without even a glance backward. The crowd gasps, cameras zoom in, and the referees? Complete silence. Not even a common foul called.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. I'm gonna put that walk right now.
You heard it. I'll remember this day. The rookies talking shit is crazy. The rookies are built different here. They don't even carry their loops anymore. What the fuck is going on?
But here's what makes this absolutely infuriating. If any other player in that league makes that exact same play, they're looking at an immediate technical foul, possibly a flagrant, and definitely a trending hashtag calling for their suspension. The hypocrisy is so blatant it's actually painful to watch, and fans across social media are losing their minds trying to figure out how the refs managed to miss something so obvious.
To death, do not get me wrong. I think she's a hell of a player and would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. You literally couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me. And if you're gonna do that, then give it to our guards. Or we know she's a good rookie and she's gonna get some whistles, but to get the treatment she got last night was crazy.
The shove itself tells a story that goes way deeper than one careless moment. Paige had just finished a layup and was clearly frustrated about not getting a call earlier. She turned around with her head still locked on the referee, completely disregarding everything else around her. Kelsey Plum was standing in a normal basketball position, not doing anything provocative or physical. Bueckers walked directly into her path and sent her tumbling to the ground with what can only be described as a deliberate body check. The impact was hard enough that Plum needed several seconds to get back up, and the entire sequence looked like something you'd see in a hockey game, not professional women's basketball. What makes this even more suspicious is Paige's complete lack of reaction afterward. No apology, no acknowledgement, no helping hand extended. She just kept moving like Plum was a piece of furniture she accidentally bumped into. That kind of indifference either shows incredible arrogance or suggests she knew exactly what she was doing and didn't care about the consequences. Either way, it's not a good look for someone who's supposed to represent the future of the league. The referee's non-reaction speaks volumes about the current state of WNBA officiating. These are professional officials who are supposed to maintain control of the game and ensure player safety above everything else. When a player gets deliberately knocked to the ground and there's zero response from the Zebras, you're not just missing a call. You're sending a message that certain players operate under different rules. The silence was deafening, and it lasted long enough for everyone in that arena to realize what they just witnessed. No whistle, no discussion between officials, no acknowledgement that anything unusual had happened. This creates a dangerous precedent because other players are watching and taking notes. If Paige can get away with trucking a veteran like Kelsey Plum without any consequences, what's stopping other players from testing those same boundaries? The refs essentially gave every player in that game a green light to start playing more physically, and that's exactly how games spiral out of control. Professional basketball requires consistent officiating to maintain any semblance of fairness, and moments like this completely undermine that foundation. The double standard becomes crystal clear when you compare this incident to how other players have been treated for far less aggressive plays. Caitlin Clark got absolutely crucified last season for accidentally catching someone with her arm during a normal basketball play. The media coverage was relentless, calling her a dirty player and questioning her character based on one unintentional contact. Social media exploded with demands for suspensions and fines, while commentators debated whether she was developing bad habits that could hurt the league's image. Angel Reese faced similar scrutiny for playing physical defense in the paint, something that's been part of basketball since the game was invented. But somehow her normal post moves got labeled as overly aggressive, and she carried a villain reputation for months because of how the media framed her style of play. The contrast is absolutely striking. Clark and Reese get dragged through the mud for standard basketball plays, while Bueckers literally knocks someone down and gets treated like she's untouchable. Even more recent examples show this pattern continuing. Other rookies and second-year players get called for technical fouls when they so much as complain about a missed call or show any emotion after a big play. But Paige can argue with referees, make careless plays that endanger other players, and somehow avoid any consequences whatsoever. The favoritism is so obvious that even casual fans are starting to notice and call it out online. This golden whistle treatment extends far beyond just this one incident. Watch Paige's games closely, and you'll start seeing a pattern that's impossible to ignore. She drives into traffic, deliberately slows down to create contact with defenders, throws up wild shots that have no chance of going in, and consistently gets sent to the free throw line. It's foul baiting at its finest, and the referees reward it every single time. During some games, she's attempted more free throws than field goals, which tells you everything you need to know about how the game is being called in her favor. The craft of drawing fouls is one thing. That's been part of basketball forever, and plenty of great players have mastered it. But when the officials start giving you calls that other players would never get, you've crossed the line from skillful play into preferential treatment. There were multiple possessions in this same game where Paige got continuation calls that made absolutely no sense, free throws on plays where contact was minimal, and protection from the refs that other guards simply don't receive. Meanwhile, players like Kelsey Plum, who's been in the league for years and earned respect through consistent performance, can't buy a whistle when they actually get fouled. The veteran gets knocked to the ground and ignored while the rookie gets every ticky-tack call that could possibly go her way. That's not basketball. That's manufactured entertainment designed to protect certain storylines regardless of what's actually happening on the court. The social media explosion that followed this incident revealed just how divided the WNBA fanbase has become over officiating inconsistencies. Within minutes of the clip going viral, you had two distinct camps forming with completely opposite interpretations of the same play. Paige supporters immediately jumped to her defense, claiming it was accidental contact and that Plum was being dramatic about the impact. Some even suggested that Kelsey flopped to make the situation look worse than it actually was. On the flip side, fans of other players were absolutely furious about what they saw as blatant favoritism. They started pulling up clips of similar incidents where their favorite players got penalized for much less contact, creating side-by-side comparisons that made the double standard impossible to deny. The comment sections became war zones with fans arguing about everything from rookie treatment to league bias to whether certain players get protected because of their marketability. The most telling responses came from people who tried to defend Paige by saying she didn't mean to hurt anyone. Intent doesn't matter when you're talking about player safety and following the basic rules of basketball. You don't get to knock someone down and avoid consequences just because you claim it wasn't malicious. Every basketball player from middle school to the pros understands that you're responsible for controlling your body and being aware of your surroundings. Making excuses for careless play just enables more dangerous behavior in the future. What's even more frustrating is how quickly the narrative shifted from holding Paige accountable to making Kelsey Plum the villain for having the audacity to get knocked down. Some fans actually criticized Plum for not getting out of the way fast enough, as if veteran players are supposed to anticipate when rookies might decide to steamroll through them. The victim-blaming mentality shows how twisted the conversation has become when certain players can seemingly do no wrong. The tension this creates in locker rooms and between teams can't be overstated. Professional athletes notice everything, and when they see officiating that's obviously biased toward certain players, it builds resentment that lasts for years. Kelsey Plum has been around long enough to know when she's being disrespected, and she's not the type of player who forgets these kinds of incidents. The next time these teams play, you can bet she'll be looking for an opportunity to send her own message about physical play and what she considers acceptable. Other veterans around the league are watching this situation closely too, and they're drawing their own conclusions about how the refs plan to call games involving certain high-profile rookies. When experienced players feel like they're not getting fair treatment compared to newcomers, it creates a toxic environment that can poison team chemistry and league-wide relationships. The WNBA has worked too hard building its reputation to let officiating controversies tear apart the competitive balance. Players also communicate with each other across teams more than fans realize, and incidents like this become talking points that spread throughout the entire league. Veterans share their experiences about which referees seem biased, which players get special treatment, and how the game is being called differently for different people. That information shapes how they approach future matchups and influences their level of respect for the officiating crew and league management. The ripple effects extend beyond just the teams that were involved in this specific game. Other players start testing boundaries to see if they can get away with similar plays. Coaches adjust their strategies based on how they expect games to be called, and fans lose trust in the integrity of competition. Once people start believing that outcomes are influenced by factors other than pure basketball skill, the entire product becomes less compelling and harder to take seriously. Looking at the bigger picture, this controversy exposes fundamental problems with how the WNBA manages its officiating and star player development. The league has been desperate to create marketable personalities and storylines that can drive viewership and social media engagement. Paige Bueckers represents everything they want in the face of the franchise: college basketball royalty, social media savvy, highlight reel plays, and crossover appeal that can attract new fans. The problem comes when protecting those storylines starts interfering with fair competition and consistent rule enforcement. You can't build a sustainable league by giving certain players advantages that others don't receive, no matter how talented or marketable those players might be. Fans see through manufactured narratives pretty quickly, and when they lose confidence in the legitimacy of games, they stop watching altogether. The WNBA has seen this pattern before with other sports where favoritism towards star players eventually backfired and hurt the overall product. Boxing lost credibility because of questionable judging that seemed to favor certain fighters. Professional wrestling embraces predetermined outcomes, but at least they're honest about it being entertainment rather than legitimate competition. Basketball can't afford to go down that same path because the sport depends on fans believing that the best team wins based on merit alone. What makes this situation even more damaging is the timing. The WNBA is enjoying unprecedented popularity and media coverage, with record viewership numbers and increased investment from sponsors and media partners. This is exactly the wrong time to have major controversies about officiating bias and preferential treatment that make the league look unprofessional and potentially corrupt. The momentum that's been building could disappear quickly if fans start questioning whether games are being decided fairly. The solution isn't complicated, but it requires league leadership to acknowledge the problem and take concrete steps to fix it. Consistent officiating standards need to be applied equally to all players regardless of their status, marketability, or storyline potential. Training programs for referees should emphasize fairness and consistency over protecting certain narratives. Regular evaluation of officiating performance should include analysis of whether calls are being made equally for all players in similar situations. Most importantly, the league needs to stop treating some players like they're more valuable than others when it comes to rule enforcement. Paige Bueckers is talented enough to compete at the highest level without needing special protection from the referees. Giving her advantages she hasn't earned through performance diminishes her actual accomplishments and creates resentment from other players and fans who expect fair competition. The incident between Paige and Kelsey wasn't just about one careless play or one missed call. It was a perfect example of everything that's wrong with current WNBA officiating and a warning sign about where the league could be headed if these problems aren't addressed quickly. Basketball fans want to see the best players competing on an even playing field where talent and effort determine outcomes, not referee bias or marketing considerations. Until the WNBA demonstrates that it's committed to consistent, fair officiating for all players, controversies like this will continue to undermine the credibility of games and divide the fan base. The league has worked too hard building its reputation to let it be destroyed by referees who seem more interested in protecting certain storylines than calling games by the rules. Paige Bueckers deserves the chance to prove herself based on her actual basketball ability, not because she gets special treatment that other players don't receive. The question that every fan should be asking is simple. Do we want professional basketball decided by athletic performance and strategic execution, or do we want outcomes influenced by which players the league considers most marketable? The answer to that question will determine whether the WNBA continues growing as a legitimate sports league or becomes another entertainment product where storylines matter more than competition. This controversy won't be forgotten quickly, and it shouldn't be. Every time Paige Bueckers steps on the court from now on, people will be watching to see whether she continues getting preferential treatment or whether the league finally decides to enforce rules consistently for everyone. The integrity of professional women's basketball depends on getting this right, and there's no room for compromise when it comes to fair play and equal treatment under the rules. What you're about to see will make you question everything you thought you knew about fairness in professional basketball. One shove, 2 players, 0 whistles, and a league-wide scandal that's got everyone talking. This isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about privilege, double standards, and a system that's completely broken.